Cartoon artist is an artist that usually draw comic strips, comic books, and cartoon has a wide variety of meaning. And under the category of cartoon, there is a cartoon in the form of comic books. There also cartoon in the form of animation in the TV that you see.
Sejak saya kecil, komik sering disalah-anggap sebagai perosak bahasa dan sering mengandungi bahan-bahan yang tidak bermoral. Jadi di Komik M, kami cuba membuat kelainan. Kami menerbitkan komik dengan menggunakan bahasa Melayu yang betul dan mengendengahkan isi kandungan yang positif.
Cartoon really is just an idea, and the format is something that is variable, that can be explored. So that's why when we we explore a different medium. When we go into animation, we can see that animation industry in this country is really increasing right now, especially with the emergence of Bobo Boy, Upin, Didi and Friend. It shows that people in this country is ready for embracing all these new formats of cartoons.
Bagi saya, komik adalah bahan bacaan. Kerana sebelum ini, masyarakat mempunyai pandangan komik adalah bahan bacaan picisan, iaitu bahan yang mutunya rendah. Tapi sebenarnya, apabila kita masukkan kandungan yang bagus, komik juga adalah sama seperti buku-buku yang lain. Ia boleh membawa mesin-mesin yang positif dan membawa kebaikan.
So far, I think females comic artists are doing better. They have a lot of idea, but sometimes having hard time keeping it up. I think they're pretty good, and there's a lot of it now since most girls can draw whatever they want, whatever they could. So, and for their styles, I think they're mostly having prettier, good-looking guy. Romance story, or sometimes they just go for all action and gory. Sometimes they just do that because they like it.
For me, comic artist is like a writer. A writer for another writer, they write a book. But for me, I write a comic artist to share my story lah. To share my story to the readers, and I share my idea to reader.
It's a format that tells story through graphic or through panels of illustration. For me, the most important thing about comic is the storytelling. For most people, the most important thing about comic is the quality of drawing. Okay, but for me, the concept of comic. For example, the purpose of the comic, what for, why we create the comic in the first place.
Ada yang mengatakan apabila internet mula menguasai kehidupan, bahan bacaan seperti buku, komik bercetak akan mula kurang mendapat sambutan. Di Komik M, kami masih menerbitkan komik bercetak kerana kami mempunyai pasaran yang kami sasarkan, iaitu pembaca sekolah rendah. Golongan pembaca sekolah rendah ini, mereka belum terdedah secara meluas dengan teknologi handphone, tablet dan sebagainya. Jadi golongan ini masih memerlukan bahan bacaan bercetak.
The story is the part that will make readers always interested to follow our comic series, the story. But for the best first impression, for me still the visual, the quality of the drawing. But to make sure readers still follow our series, it should be the quality of the story. Okay, and usually I will draw thumbnail. As a writer, I will draw a small thumbnail or small sketches, and I will pass to the artist, and then he will draw it perfectly.
To me, comics is a combination. Okay, sometimes it's a combination between the artwork and the concepts we want to present. Also, because sometimes we can't draw what we want also. Because for the school part, it's like I have to follow, like for Islamic, for the Malay market, we have to do for the Malay stories. During 15 or 20 years ago, you may find that there are only few ways for us to publish our comics. Through magazine or through publishers, okay? Through newspapers. That's the only few way because they are the major media at that time. Yeah, today have so many medias. That's why you can see like the social medias, the social media platform. You even can do a comics upload on YouTube also. Make it into a video also. You can do it like comics and at the same time to cut it into frames and cut it into different panels and then arrange it into a video also can. No problem.
You can say that animation is a very expensive marketing. Typically, animation is not something that is really profitable, to be frank. And it is a view that I share with many other animators in this industry. But I think that animation is a great tool to reach people and entertain them and sell them something else. For example, comic books, merchandise.
There are three roles, okay, in drawing a comic, in completing a comic. First is the writer, of course. Second is the artist, the one that will draw the manuscript, and the third one is the colorist, if the end product is in color, in full color. So basically, by conventional in Malaysia, usually comic artists work alone. Okay, he's the one that think of idea, and he also draw, and he also the one that will market the book, sell the book.
Serius ke, Wil?
Serius. Kau labur sikit je tapi kau dapat balik banyak.
Saya pun ingat nak melabur.
Ya ke?
Melabur sikit nanti dapat berkali ganda.
Kita mesti masuk ini pelaburan. Untungnya banyak besar.
Betul lah. Betul, saya mau.
Ya betul labur. Tapi labur dalam apa? Ingat, pelabur yang selamat adalah pelabur yang bermaklumat.
Pesanan ini dibawakan khas oleh Suruhanjaya Security Malaysia dan InvestSmart.
Kadar bantuan kanak-kanak keluarga miskin dinaikkan daripada RM100 seorang anak dengan maksimum RM450 sekeluarga kepada RM150 seorang anak berumur 7 tahun hingga 18 tahun atau RM200 seorang anak berumur 6 tahun dan ke bawah dengan maksimum RM1,000 sekeluarga.
Pemakaian pelitup separuh muka boleh mengurangkan 60% risiko jangkitan COVID-19 berbanding mereka yang tidak memakainya. Mulai 1 Ogos 2020, orang ramai diwajibkan untuk memakai pelitup separuh muka terutamanya di kawasan seperti pengangkutan awam, lokasi sesak dan juga tumpuan awam. Dan orang ramai boleh didenda RM1,000 di bawah Akta 342 iaitu Akta Pencegahan dan Kawalan Penyakit Berjangkit 1988 jika gagal mematuhi peraturan ini. Langkah pemakaian pelitup separuh muka 3 lapis. Yang pertama, pastikan bahagian berwarna berada di luar, bahagian putih berada di dalam dan kepingan logam itu diletakkan di atas hidung. Yang kedua, pegang tali gelung, letakkan di telinga masing-masing. Yang ketiga, pastikan hidung dan juga mulut ditutup sepenuhnya. Dan yang terakhir, gunakan kedua-dua tangan untuk membentuk kepingan logam mengikut bentuk hidung masing-masing. Jadi jom kita putuskan rantaian COVID-19.
been through a lot. I actually started at a very early age, but I didn't actually study art, but I studied business. My work at the very early stage actually is a love story comic artist. So I draw a lot of girls and guys, like a lot of like different love stories, and then I started off with short love stories to longer and longer love stories. Although people might say that in the early days when I'm actually as an in-house artist in Gempa Stars, at that period of time, I'm actually treat that as I'm still studying, but I consider at that time, during the year of 2000 to 2003 until 2006, I actually treat myself as learning progress, because I came from, I was a business student. That's why I didn't have a lot of basic drawing skill. So I actually trained myself very much. I worked so hard to brush up to improve my drawing skill during the Gempa period. And then from time to time, from character to background to color, because at first I totally don't know how to color. Okay, I only able to draw black and white, and then I started off even more terrible when I don't know how to use pelaka white or a liquid paper type of white color to correct my mistake, my drawing. And then it takes it needs another artist to come and help me to touch up because I don't know how to touch up. That's why I say a lot of things for me to learn, and then of course I always have luck, and then I always have a lot of people to help me.
Ben adalah seorang artis komik Malaysia yang unik. Beliau mempunyai jati diri kemalaysiaan yang kuat. Sebagian artis komik mudah terpengaruh dengan komik-komik yang mereka baca dan unsur-unsur dari komik negara luar seperti Jepun, Hong Kong, Amerika dan sebagainya. Ben, walaupun dia berbangsa Cina, tetapi dia cuba mengenengahkan isi kandungan komik yang membawa cerita-cerita kemalaysiaan di dalam komiknya. Sebab itu salah satu komiknya telah memenangi anugerah di International Manga Award Jepun di Tokyo.
He is the man with passion. So basically, the way I see him, he always have all ideas, which is he can't see when someone is procrastinating. He despises that. So basically, he wants you to work out on your dream, so we can grow together. That's the way I see him.
This one is my first comic under Comic M. So I actually started with a comic anthology, which means that I actually draw this cover, and then inside I have a short comic. It's about love stories. Okay, so this is probably the first time I do a first try of how to do a love comics between the Islamic girl and Korean guy. Okay, this is the first comic I actually started drawing, and I remember this was almost 8 years ago, 8 to 9 years ago.
So the difference between traditional tools for drawing comics and digital tools, there are several key differences, and these differences may or may not be beneficial. For example, when I was transitioning from traditional tools, pen, paper, and pencil, into to digital tools, for example, this iPad, I found out that the feeling of gliding the stylus is really different from the feeling of drawing using pencil. The pros and cons between traditional and digital tools is traditional tools is much cheaper, and I think it is really an important tool to learn about the basic technique of drawing. The traditional tools also has a soul to it, especially when you're drawing something emotional that you can really feel from your hand to the pencil and to the paper. Missy is an educational brand, and Missy started as a comic book, and we created the first Missy comic in 2009. And what is interesting about Missy that on 2009 and before, comic book can be considered as a taboo in school, and teachers and parents really despise the existence of comic books as they thought that it brings along bad influence to the students and to the kids.
Itu ke kebunnya?
Itulah dia.
I will show you the process of how we trying to create an animation from start to finish. And this is some of the pre-production materials. This is the storyboard. And in this process, you can see that we are trying to visualize each frame in order to get the sense of, how the video is going and how long the duration of the animation. So after we have already decided on the storyboard, we will proceed to the layout drawing. Layout drawing is a detailed drawing that is drawn based on the storyboard that we have already proceed. The animators will try to animate and create a motion for the layout drawing. He's trying to animate a sequence of a character running. So you can see that he's trying to create a movement of the feet. This is called cleaning up process, and as the name implies, it involves cleaning up all the rough lines and any mistakes from the previous animation. And also in this stage, we will try to insert the colors. For example, this frame already has colors, and all the colors is referred by this color palette that has been prepared in the pre-production stage. So a cleanup artist has to clean up and color all 12 frames and 24 frames individually. This is our background artist, Rakib. Rakib is responsible for creating all the backgrounds in our episode. And after the background drawing has been finished, it will be combined together with the animations, with the voice, sound effects in the post-production stage, which is editing all these elements into one finished animation.
Finally, dapat makan.
Masuk 500, besok dapat RM5,000. Kalau ramai percaya kita macam ni, cepatlah kita kaya.
Jadilah pelabur yang bijak. Jangan melabur dalam sesuatu yang indah kabar dari rupa. Pesanan ini dibawakan khas oleh Suruhanjaya Security Malaysia dan Investmart.
Amboi, riangnya Cik B. Nak ke mana agaknya? Hajum! Oh, salah tu. Jika hendak bersin, kita perlu menutup mulut dengan lengan bahagian siku. Oh. Hajum! Macam itulah cara bersin yang betul. Supaya bakteria tidak merebak. Senang je. Elak virus, elak bakteria. Kita jaga kita.
Kerajaan telah membuat keputusan mulai 1 Ogos, pemakaian pelitup muka di dalam pengangkutan awam dan tempat-tempat awam yang bersesak-sesak adalah diwajibkan. Mereka yang didapati ingkar peraturan tersebut akan dikenakan tindakan tegas seperti kompaun dan dihadapkan ke mahkamah. Orang ramai boleh menggunakan pelitup muka yang dijahit sendiri mengikut spesifikasi yang dikeluarkan oleh Pertubuhan Kesihatan Sedunia WHO. Kementerian Kesihatan menyatakan bahawa 2 perkara yang mampu untuk mengurangkan jangkitan adalah memakai pelitup muka atau melakukan penjarakan sosial. Kita masih belum menang. Terus patuhi SOP yang ditetapkan bagi memutuskan rantaian jangkitan COVID-19.
Comic industry in Malaysia is quite hard, to be frank. Even for me, after 10 years in comic industry, I still have a little bit struggle. Okay, but as long as we have the passion and we have the consistency, we can achieve success in this industry.
Stay strong because the industry doesn't go all the way up. It has to be strong to keep maintained that way because the thing is everything is like life, like roller coaster. So if you having hard time keeping up, you're gonna get outdated.
There are many challenges to achieve at this point. One of them is how to educate our parents, for them to accept our career in this field. And you also have to educate like the society because they look comic as something that don't have any benefits and something that can destroy reader's mind. Okay, something that is not good, not as good as maybe novel or non-fiction books. So the process to educate them requires persistence and consistency. So plus we have to survive, we have to earn income because in Malaysia there's still no one good and sustainable model business. So we as comic artists have to think of how to make money through comic.
And then for our own comic industry, we should do more towards our local language, which is Malay language comics. That actually have the uniqueness because the product actually today we talk about product. How product have a value? Because you have a value because you have the exclusiveness and the uniqueness. This is what I want. So after some time, I do find that if you need to find a very healthy business model for your business, make sure you know the market and then you know what buyers or what consumer you are targeting. It doesn't mean that you have to target a big volume, but actually what kind of customer you are serving. It doesn't mean that the Malaysia comic industry is not good, but it has the very, what we can say, localization. So sometimes they love it or they support it because it's a local product. You have some message there, some kind of recognition, a different kind of recognition, because the Malay society, they will recognize us as the Malaysian. We're doing comics for Malaysia. Me or comic artists or those hardworking comic artists, we are this kind of people that are actually trying to do something or trying to keep this industry survive. Okay. And then we do find that there's a lot of challenges here, especially on the sales part. And then of course it's not about money, but it's about the value of comic artists.
Okay, my advice to the new artists, okay, firstly you must have passion, and then you must have a mentor to guide you in the industry, and then you must always learn and adapt to the demand of the market. You have to know the market very well, otherwise you will create hooks that only you will like it. You understand? Something that only the artist will like, but we had to sell to other people. But the thing about finding mentor, I think that is one of the most important thing, because it's hard to survive in the comic industry in Malaysia. So you must have some figure or mentor that will willing to give you advice, will give you motivation when you are down.
My advice is first is to be patient, and my personal advice is to build as much networking as you possibly can. Join artist group and be friends with people from all other industries.
For young people or greenhorn, you want to get into this industry, you need to have the passion first, and then of course the interest. You need to ask yourself that, are you interested in doing comics? Do you love comics? Do you love the job? Because all jobs have their own, difficulties that we need to overcome. So we can't always look at the good side, like, we gain fame and then we gain supporters, and then we can draw things we like. Sometimes we can't draw things we like also. Sometimes we have to draw things based on what the readers prefer, not our own preference. Because at this point of view, we are not consumers. We are doing the service only. We are doing the servicing.